Hello and welcome to the second video in our series on some of the new and useful functions in Excel. Today, I'll be focusing on take and drop, which will allow you to extract data from a table by specifying which rows or columns to include or exclude. If you've ever worked with large data sets in Excel, you know that scrolling through rows and columns looking for specific data can be a real pain. With take and drop, you can easily extract data you need and leave out the rest. Let's start with take. This function allows you to extract specific rows or columns from a table. For example, if you have a table with sales data for multiple regions, you can use take to extract just the data for the regions you are interested in. Next is the drop. This function allows you to exclude specific rows or columns from a table. For example, if you have a table with multiple columns of data but only need a few of them, you can use drop to exclude the columns you don't need. Now that we've covered the basics of these functions, let's dive into some examples. By the end of this video, you have a solid understanding of how these functions work and how they can help you save time and effort when working with large data sets in Excel. So without further ado, let's jump right in and get started. On your screen, you can see a table of sales, by multiple sales reps in multiple regions and the products they sold and the units sold and the revenue. So our duty here is to use the take and drop function to pick the first 10 rows. Okay, we just need only the first 10 rows by using the take function. Okay. So the take function starts with the word take. And then the first is the array. That is, from where do we want to take the 10 rows? So I'm going to specify we need to take our 10 rows from here. So once you select the first line, just shift control and the down arrow, select everything in that range. If you want to lock it in place, just press F4 and it gets locked in place. And then the comma is how many rows. So look at the tooltip here. How many rows are we trying to take? We need only 10 rows. So we put a positive 10 rows here. Okay, we don't care about the columns. We need all the columns. So I'm going to close my parenthesis. So a positive 10 means the first 10 rows and a negative means the last 10 rows. Okay, so negative means you are taking rows from the end of the array that you have selected. So once you have done that, just go ahead and click on enter key and then it picks only the first 10 rows. So you see that it has done that nicely and you can see the first 10 rows have been selected. Now let's take a look at another example. We want to take the last 5 rows. So we don't know how many rows are in this table. It could be 1 million rows. We don't know. All we need is the last 5 rows. How do we do that? So I'm going to rewrite my formula again. So it's equal to, we want to take. So remember, we start with the word take. Open your parentheses. You specify where the data is coming from or where the array is. Specify the whole of this. Okay. And then you bring your comma. Go to the beginning. So the last 5 rows, so it's 5, but because it starts from the end, it's going to be -5. And then you close your parenthesis. And then once you press the enter key, you see that it has selected only the last 5 rows. And you can go down here and check that. These are the last 5 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rows, and it has selected them for you nicely up here. Okay. Now, example, we are going to use the take function to extract the last 2 columns from this table. And the last 2 columns are what? Units sold and then the revenue. Okay, so let me go ahead and rewrite the function again. So it starts with the equal to sign. So equal to take, and then you have to specify where the array is, where we are taking the stuff from. So we are taking it from this whole table. I'm going to select the whole table. And then you bring your comma. How many rows? So when you watch the tooltip right here, it specify how many rows. We don't care about the rows. So I'm going to put in another comma in place of the rows. So I don't need the comma, the rows. Now it says how many columns are we trying to take? We are trying to take 2. Is it from the beginning or the end? It's the last 2. So the last 2 is -2. If it were to be the beginning, it's going to be +2. So -2. And then you close your parentheses, press the enter key, and then it selects only the last 2 columns. Okay. Now let's take a look at this example in which we are going to take the first 3 columns. So meaning that we only need the date, the sales rep, and then the region, the first 3 columns. So I'm going to start my function again with take. So equal to take, specify the array where the data is coming from. It's coming from here. Then you go to the beginning and then put in a comma. So how many rows? So look at these 2 tips. The next input is looking for is highlighted and it says rows. We don't care about the rows. We want to take all the rows. So you put in a comma in place of the rows because we don't need that. And then it goes to the columns. How many columns do we need? The first 3 columns. Okay. So the first 3 columns is going to be what? A +3. A +3. So we'll go ahead and put in our 3 and then close parentheses. And then it does that for you. It selects the first 3 columns nicely. Dates, sales rep, and region. Let's take a look at the 5th example. With this, we have this table consisting of 6 columns, right? We want to drop the last 2 columns. We want to drop the units sold and the revenue and only keep the 4. So how do we achieve that? Again, we are going to use drop this time instead of take. Okay, we are dropping the last 2. So we start with the word drop. And then we specify the array or the table from which you are dropping columns. Select them. If you like, you can press F4 to lock it in place. That is up to you. And then you put in a comma. When you watch the tooltip, it's expecting rows. Okay, the tooltip right here is expecting rows, but that is not what we are interested in. We are interested in columns. So we put in a comma because we don't need that. The next thing is the columns. Okay, we need 2 of them at the end of the array. So it's 2. So this time we're going to be -2. Dropping the last 2. So -2. Okay, so the last 2 is -2. And then it drops everything. So we have the date, sales rep, region, and product. It has dropped the last 2. Now let's take a look at the last example. In this example, we need to extract the 3 highest units sold. You see that the unit sold is in column G, and then they are not arranged in any other any manner, whether it's ascending or descending. They are just mixed up. Okay. So the 3 highest. How do we get the 3 highest? The 3 highest mean when we sort this table by unit sold and with units sold in ascending order, we can sort them that way and pick the last 3 because the last 3 units sold are going to be the highest one at the bottom here. That is when this is sorted. So the first thing is to sort the data. Okay. This is a little more complex than the examples we have looked before, but the concept is the same. The concept doesn't change. So first, the only thing that is changing is we have to sort them first. Okay, you can either manually go and sort the data here, but we want to sort using a formula. Okay, and I'm going to introduce you to the sort by formula. It's very easy to use. So put your cursor in the first cell here, and then I'm going to go ahead and then write the sort formula. So it's equal to sort by, which is the second one. Sort by, the first is the array that you want to sort. What array do you want to sort? We want to sort this whole array right here. I already have the columns, so I don't need to select the columns again. So I saw the whole array here. That is what we are going to sort this data. And then I'm going to press F4 to lock it in place if I need to. And then put a comma. The next input is the by array 1. The by array 1. What are we sorting by? We want to sort by the units sold. Okay. So I'm going to select the units sold. And then again, press F4 to lock it in place. So that is the by. And then the third input or the third argument of this sort by function is the whether we want to sort in ascending or descending. Ascending means the smallest numbers first and then the largest numbers at the end. So we want to sort it in ascending. Okay, so we just select the ascending, and you can see it on your screen here. Just select ascending. Ascending means 1. Okay, and then we close it. Once we close it, it has sorted the units sold in ascending order. Okay, you see that it starts from 50, and then the higher numbers are down here, the 200s. Okay, now what we need is the 3 highest units sold. So it means this derived table that we have down here, we only need the last 3. Those are the 3 highest, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do is to wrap this function that I've just written, okay, wrap it inside a take function because we are taking the 3 highest units sold. So watch me do that here. I'm going to update this formula and wrap it in take. So now we are not taking from the table on the left, but we are taking stuff from the table on the right. Okay, go, the right is already sorted. So let's begin with the take function, and then you close it. The array is already this whole table, which we already have here as the first input or the first argument. And then you bring your comma. When you bring your comma, it's expecting rows. So how many rows? We want the third highest. So that is going to be the third or the 3 from the bottom. So it's going to be -3 because it's from the end. Okay. We don't care about the colors. We want every column, but only that we need the last 3. So we'll go ahead and close our parentheses, and then we'll select it. And then once you do that, it has selected the last 3. The last 3 or the last highest unit sold. When you go down here, you can see these 3 folks right here. They are the last 3, but this is not sorted, so you cannot see here because this function is not sorted. We sorted the derived table on the right hand side, but that is what it is. This is the 3 highest unit sold. Okay, you can even try and then get the 3 lowest units sold. So play around with this function and then until you get used to it. Okay, so that's it for my video on take and drop in Excel. I hope you found this video helpful and that you now have a better understanding of how these functions work. Remember, the key to becoming proficient with these functions is to practice using them in different scenarios. The more you use them, the more comfortable you become with them, and the faster you'll be able to analyze your data. In our next video, we'll be covering choose calls and choose rows, which will allow you to extract specific rows or columns based on certain criteria. So be sure to tune in to continue building your Excel skills. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.